It looks like it could be a tense round of the championship here as we prepare to get today's race underway. It's one of the shortest laps on the calendar today then, with 7 rights and just 3 lefts, making up the 10 corners of this high-speed circuit. Turn 2 is barely a corner at all. They'll be flat out through there, a left-hand kink into the uphill braking zone of turn 3. Turns 1, 3 and 4 are all potential opportunities to overtake. Alongside me to discuss all the action today is Anthony Davidson. Thanks for joining us, Ant, and tell me, you were down in the pit lane earlier. How do you think the track conditions are today?
Well, the surface looks clean enough, but I'm a little bit worried about the track temperature. It's pretty cool out there, which could give some teams difficulties when it comes to keeping their tyres in the right operating window. The cars out there that work their tyres hard and really put a lot of energy through them, they'll be the ones that are better off.
Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. An immense lap from Lewis Hamilton yesterday puts him on pole position, and Max Verstappen lines up alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Leclerc, Perez, Antonio Giovinazzi, and Ricciardo, Stroll, Norris, Raikkonen, and George Russell, Latifi, Vettel, Daniel Kvyat, and Magnussen, Grosjean, Albon, Valtteri Bottas, and Esteban Ocon. Gasly and Carlos Sainz will start from the back of the grid. It's almost time for the...
Here we go, running up to 5 red lights. Hamilton's on pole, Verstappen P2, Leclerc P3. And it's a strong start once again from Max Verstappen. It's a strong start from Hamilton this time, actually. No, it's not Verstappen who comes in the lead into turn 1 like we were all expecting. That's Kimi right. No, Antonio Giovinazzi in P4 there. Now, Hamilton leads from Verstappen, from Leclerc, from Giovinazzi, who's going to go for it on Charles Leclerc. Not quite, actually. He's not quite close enough. Actually, I thought he was going to go for it, but he didn't. And that's a racing point of, I think that's Stroll? Or it might be Perez. I'm not sure. I didn't watch the qualifying results. But anyways, here comes Verstappen. He's on the back of Hamilton. He absolutely launches it down the inside. It's turn 4. Down the inside of Lewis Hamilton. Into the lead goes Max Verstappen. What a move from Max after a very, very close qualifying yesterday. Of course, it was raining yet again in qualifying, but Max and Lewis were able to time their qualifying very well, whereas drivers like Bottas, Albon, and Vettel couldn't, and that's why they're starting so low. See Verstappen in the lead from Hamilton, and that's Giovinazzi still holding 4th place. And Kimi is actually in 6th place, an incredible result so far for the Alfa Romeos after a great qualifying yesterday. You can see they're all going close here. Sebastian Vettel going for it on the AlphaTauri. As we go down here, that's a Williams. We're just going down here, Bottas, and then there's Albon, still close to the back as Sainz, I believe, is still down in last place, as is Ocon in P19. And there's just so many crazy grid slots that Williams, I believe, started in the top 10, and that's Bottas making an overtake. And now we are on board with Valtteri, who's made up quite a few places from the start. I believe he's actually started behind Albon. So, and there goes Alexander Albon. The Haas defending hard. Albon's down the inside into turn 5. And it's a nice overtake. As the Haas went defensive, you can see Latifi's beating Russell, is beating Vettel. And they're all kind of in a train right now. Vettel trying to get past the Williams as soon as he possibly can. As the opening laps are really the places where these top runners will be able to make up the maximum amount of places in this race, as Hamilton is still behind Max. I believe that's DRS opening up. Hamilton chasing down Max Verstappen. On the straight, Verstappen, he's being caught. Hamilton looks to the inside. He goes to the outside. Who's going to be latest on the brakes? Verstappen's a bit later. Hamilton's going to try sending around the outside. Not quite going to work there. And it's an incredible battle for the lead of this race now. Hamilton faked to the inside, went to the outside, and now Leclerc is caught up because of their little battle. And Charles Leclerc with that Ferrari straight line speed isn't quite going to catch up in time. And now the Williams of Russell defending hard from Daniel Kvyat. He's going to go around the outside. Russell defends. very nicely there as Vettel overtook Russell, if I didn't mention, and now Bottas is on the back of the AlphaTauri. We can't even keep up with the amount of progress these guys are making, because there's also that battle for the lead of the race, of course. And here goes Sebastian Vettel down the inside of turn 9. What a move by Vettel, a ballsy move that could have ended in a crash there, and I think the AlphaTauri also made the same move on George Russell that Vettel did. That's very interesting. Good move by Kvyat, and here goes Bottas on the outside. Russell defending nicely. Bottas around the outside. But Russell had the initial braking, but Bottas sends it around the outside, and now Sainz is out of last place as he overtakes the Haas. They're going to go side by side up the hill. Magnussen on the inside, Sainz on the outside. Sainz up into P19 now. And here's Hamilton. Hamilton's overtaking Verstappen for the lead of the race. Now we go on a replay on board with Lewis Hamilton, who gets in front on the straight there. But Verstappen late on the brakes into turn 3. Then Hamilton holds it around the outside. Verstappen can't squeeze him off like he did to Leclerc back in 2019 because Hamilton was in front. Here they go down the straight, and Hamilton with the overtake button with the DRS and the Mercedes power, and it's no match. Hamilton, great driving from him, great driving from Max. Great respect from the both of them not to crash into each other, and Lewis Hamilton has now got the lead of this race. Will Max get it back with the DRS? Surely he'll be able to stay close to him, as Bottas didn't actually overtake the AlphaTauri. As Vettel's now pulling away from the Williams of, I believe that's Nicholas Latifi. And it's Kvyat, and then Bottas, and then it's Russell, and Alexei Albon is doing a decent job after some struggles at the start of the season. We saw he couldn't quite overtake that well, but Kvyat down the inside of Latifi into turn 9, just like Vettel did, just like Kvyat did to the other Williams, and it's a good move from Kvyat, who's making his way up the field now. We saw earlier, Sainz was close to Ocon, but here goes Bottas down the straight. It's not even close, as he overtakes him before the braking zone. And now we're moving back to the front. Max Verstappen down the inside. What a move! He was tucked in behind Hamilton to make him believe that he wasn't going to make the overtake. So Lewis didn't go defensive, and then Max just launched it down the inside of turn 3. As you can see, there was yellow flags there before, as now there's the green light flashing. And it's a great overtake by Max Verstappen, and now Bottas has made the overtake on Kvyat. And he's going to pull away, and that's a car going slowly. I think it's a racing point. Not sure which racing point, but it is a racing point going slowly. That is very unfortunate there. It's Sergio Perez, I think. As we go back to the front of the grid now. Trying to just find the leaders, and that... Oh, wait, passed it. And now Verstappen holding the lead, but Hamilton's going to come back at him on this next straight with the DRS, with the Mercedes power, with that slipstream. We know how good that Mercedes is, and here he goes to the outside. Verstappen, latest on the brakes, but Hamilton's apex speed through turn 3 is better than Max, and that's why he's able to keep up. As Max is doing some weird things on that straight there, not quite sure what he's doing, but I think he's trying to get out of the slipstream, and he's done a good job of it because he's held the lead into turn 4. So you go back down, you see Sainz still can't quite pass Ocon, and that's Albon who can't quite overtake. I think that's Latifi, and Bottas has caught up to Vettel. Look at the pace Bottas has got. He's absolutely flying in this race. Valtteri Bottas with some pretty incredible pace. From P17, he's caught up to Vettel, who started, I believe, P12, and first of all, he made a great start, and then some great overtaking on the Williams, the AlphaTauris, on everyone. We couldn't quite catch all of them, but his progress this race has been pretty incredible, and now he's catching Vettel. Surely he'll be in the points very, very soon. Now Hamilton once again on the back of Verstappen. Here he goes. He's actually not close enough. He is not close enough to Max to even make an overtaking attempt. Max is pulling away from Lewis now, as Albon has overtaken Latifi, yes, and Russell's trying to have a look at Latifi, can't quite go for it. But yes, Albon has made it work, and here goes Bottas on the inside of Vettel. Despite Vettel having DRS, Bottas found a way past. With the smallest of gaps, Vettel was squeezing him right to the grass, and Bottas made it work brilliantly. Max just touched the grass there. Not quite sure why he's done that, but he's trying to hold this lead off Hamilton. It's not as easy as it might look. These colder conditions are not like 2019, so they're suiting the Mercedes, but Max, we know, is very, very good at this track. And now here, Hamilton's trying to have a go at Verstappen into turn 1, not quite close enough. Out of turn 1, look at the speed Verstappen's got. But Hamilton is closer this lap. He is actually much closer this lap than he was last lap. Here goes Hamilton. He looks at the inside. Verstappen defends very aggressively to block Hamilton, forcing him to the outside. Lewis laid on the brakes on the outside, not quite close enough to make a move. They go back down the straight. Verstappen gets the better exit, surprisingly. Hamilton's going to come back at him to the inside of the corner. Verstappen squeezing Lewis very tight. Look at how late on the brakes Verstappen is. Hamilton and Verstappen side by side. The battle for the lead of the race. Verstappen can't quite get the right exit he wanted, and Hamilton into the lead. What an overtake! After Verstappen squeezed him so tight into turn 4. Lewis has the lead for Leclerc's just lurking in third place. He can't quite make that overtake on either of these two guys, but he's just kind of stuck there. Hamilton and Verstappen battling hard, which means Leclerc is able to keep up with them. Ricciardo doing a decent job in P5, and here comes Bottas! Yes, Bottas has made some incredible progress since we last left off with him, and he's actually overtaken the McLaren back there of Lando Norris. Once again off camera, but he's just flying in this race, Valtteri Bottas, and here he comes on the racing point. He's right up behind him. Nearly goes into the back of him. Here they go, side by side into turn 1. Can Bottas make this work? No! That is Lance Stroll out braking Bottas into turn 1. Nice defensive driving from Lance. But here comes Bottas. On the back of Lance Stroll. Is he going to make this work? No, he's not quite close enough to make that overtake. But that is Kimi Räikkönen. And as we saw, Max Verstappen did overtake Hamilton. Now we're going to see how that will happen. You can see Max all over the back of Lewis. He's using the overtake button, as we can see on his steering wheel. Hamilton goes defensive. Max fakes one way, goes the other way. Down the inside. He's on the inside. Is Hamilton going to be able to outbrake him? No, he can't. Max is on the inside. And Hamilton has no answer for him. Max Verstappen, an incredible overtake. And that's Giovinazzi in front of Ricciardo doing a great job. And Stroll still holding off. Valtteri Bottas. Seems Bottas's charge has come to a halt here, as he's stuck behind the 2019 Mercedes, aka the Racing Point of Lance Stroll. Here comes Verstappen into the pits, as does Hamilton. Will Leclerc pit as well? We're going to see Verstappen has a bad pit entry. And he's also using the overtake button into the pits. And that's Leclerc actually coming to the pits too. So all three of the top runners battling for this lead have come into the pits. You can see they're all pitting here. Hamilton's out. And Hamilton's got a better stop, as has Leclerc. And Max Verstappen has been overtaken by both Hamilton and Leclerc. All that hard work he's done has gone to waste. But anyways, onto Bottas. Well, not really onto Bottas. And here goes Sainz on the outside of the Williams. I believe that's George Russell. Round the outside of turn 1. Good overtake from Carlos Sainz. And that's the Williams going side by side with, I believe that's Pierre Gasly now. Into turn 3, and that is Gasly overtaking the Williams. Williams started in the top 10, and they are not going to stay there, obviously, as they've dropped many places. But yes, Hamilton has taken the lead of the race. Leclerc's pretty close to him in the DRS now. Can Leclerc win this race? Verstappen must be so frustrated after that little pit stop problem, and Albon's almost a pit stop behind his teammate. But of course, Albon did start in P16. He's been making his way through the field, so can't be too hard on him today, as that Honda engine hasn't exactly been the best engine out of the 4 engines on the grid. And here comes Leclerc, followed by Verstappen. But of course Hamilton still leads, and it looks like he's pulling away in the lead as Roman Grosjean pulls into the pits, as does Albon, as does Bottas, and Vettel. Looks like all these guys are probably getting held up. We can't quite keep track. But then we go onto the straight here. You can see Leclerc is quicker on the straight, but Verstappen does have the overtake button active, and he's a little bit too far back to make an overtake. And no, he's not. He sent it down the inside, nearly goes into the back of Hamilton. That was an insane overtake from Max Verstappen from a very long way back. On Charles Leclerc, he knew he had to make that move if he was going to get Hamilton, as Hamilton was pulling away from Leclerc. And he just launched it down the inside from a very long way back. Something we've seen from his former teammate Daniel Ricciardo, and Verstappen seems to have made what looks like a Ricciardo type of overtake. But what a move by Max anyways, to get past one of his biggest rivals, Charles Leclerc. And those two have had some incredible battles over the season. Anyways, we're on board with Lewis Hamilton here. He's on the back of Daniel Kvyat. Kvyat's going to pull into the pits here. And here goes Lewis, and he's out of the race! Out of the race goes Lewis Hamilton! He's gone into the back of Daniel Kvyat! And I can't believe it! Lewis Hamilton! Into the back, and everyone's going slowly because of the virtual safety car. Giovinazzi's gone into the hard tires, which is probably going to end. Ricciardo's gone into the hard tires too. That's going to make their strategy suffer because the hards are not the tire to go on at this track. As Kimi's gone out of the medium, seems like there might be some favoritism at Alfa Romeo, even though Giovinazzi was in front of Kimi, so I don't really know why that's happened. But Stroll is also on the mediums, as Albon, who I believe is now into the points race. At least he's very close to it. That Esteban Ocon has made up some great places in this race, but I can't believe it. Out of the race goes Lewis Hamilton. Into the back of Kvyat, and that's going to be a massive blow to his championship. After this race, after Bottas started in P17, it was Hamilton who was on course to take the lead of this championship, as Max was very aggressive, but Lewis seemed to have the pace to win this race, and he's all thrown it away. He didn't expect Kvyat to go that slow as he entered the pits, and he's gone right into the back of him. The leader of this race. Now Leclerc's behind Verstappen. Looks like Max is on course to win this race, but Leclerc, we know how quick that Ferrari is on those straights, and he can possibly make that overtake, as Sainz is currently in third, I think. But that's because he hasn't pit yet. And that means, out of absolutely nowhere, Antonio Giovinazzi is now in third place. This could be a podium for him. I don't think it's going to be a podium for him, but in P4 is Daniel Ricciardo. But anyways, I think the VSC is over because now you can see they're opening DRS. They're really pushing. Here goes Daniel Ricciardo on the back of Giovinazzi. And that's behind Kimi is, I believe, Valtteri Bottas. Here goes Ricciardo. He's not quite close enough. That Alfa Romeo got some great straight line speed. And down the inside goes Valtteri Bottas and Kimi Räikkönen. Bottas is now up in a 5th place from P17 to P5. Some great driving for Bottas and some damage limitation race in terms of just targeting down P17. He wants to get maximum points today, and he's done pretty much everything he needs to do. He might actually be able to catch Giovinazzi and Ricciardo because they're on the hard tires. Albon couldn't quite keep up with Vettel and Bottas' progress. At the start, he was actually keeping up with them, but not anymore. As Bottas was in 5th, but of course Giovinazzi and Ricciardo will battle, and they're also on the hard tires, so they are going to struggle on this stint. They just weren't confident in their tire wear. Maybe they made a mistake on the pit wall, because the hards are not the tire to go on. But we can see in the DRS, here comes Charles Leclerc and Max Verstappen. He's got some great pace. Leclerc, he's a little bit too far back. No, he's not. Verstappen has chosen to go defensive. Leclerc is late on the brakes. Alongside into turn 3, Verstappen holds him off. This is a battle for the lead of the race. We thought Verstappen was going to easily win this race, but then Leclerc is coming back at him. As Charles Leclerc can get his first win of the race. And Bottas! Look at how much Bottas has caught up. And now Kimi's under threat from his former teammate Sebastian Vettel. But Bottas has caught up so much on Giovinazzi and Ricciardo, and they're going to have to defend really hard. And that's Norris going side by side with Stroll. Stroll pulling away from Norris. I think Norris did overtake him because of the VSC or something. And here goes Albon on the outside of Lando Norris. Surely not around the outside. Norris on the hard tires. Around the outside goes Albon. They're going to go side by side up the hill. Just like they did back in never mind, actually. That was very similar to his overtake on the Haas, but Albon, a great move on Norris there. Sainz is making his way up the field, but no, they put him on the hards. The McLaren got some horrible tire wear today, and he's on the hards, and that's not very good for him. And Norris has dropped a lot of time here. I don't know if that's because he's struggling, but Kimi has defended for Vettel very well. Bottas has now gone up to the back of Daniel Ricciardo. Valtteri Bottas on the back of Ricciardo. Ricciardo's got the DRS too. That Renault does have some great straight line speed this season, has to be said, and Ricciardo's been driving very well this season. But, and anyways, Kimi Räikkönen under threat for Vettel. He defended hard into turn 3, but Vettel gets the better exit. Sebastian Vettel up into 6th place. Kimi Räikkönen was having a great result. Still, P7 is great. Kimi Räikkönen comes back at Sebastian Vettel. Would you believe it? He's not done. He's not done with racing. Kimi gets in front. Kimi Räikkönen. He's been forced to the outside by Vettel. Vettel gets back in front. I can't believe it. Kimi Räikkönen has re-overtaken Sebastian Vettel. That's something I never thought I'd be saying in this championship. What a move by Kimi. He just held it down the inside. And a great move by Kimi Raikkonen. Yeah, which didn't last for very long, but at least he was in front of Sebastian Vettel at some point in this race. And the Williams are now further back now. They just struggled so much this race. They've literally lost some, like, 8 places this race, but now... And that's a 3-wide battle! That's a double overtake from Valtteri Bottas! And Ricciardo's gonna overtake Giovinazzi too. No, Giovinazzi gets the better exit. Valtteri Bottas from P17 up into P3! And Giovinazzi with the DRS was able to get back in front of Ricciardo. Then goes defensive into turn 5. I can't believe it, Bottas, what a move! 2 cars on that straight, and then he just outbroke both of them. And Giovinazzi's doing some great defending on Ricciardo. Ricciardo's must be frustrating him, but now he's going to lose a lot of time to Vettel. Look at how much time Vettel's gaining. And Bottas has already pulled, 3 seconds in, 5 corners. Even Albon's made some good progress as he's caught up the sole racing point of Lance Stroll. This race is insane. But I can't believe it. Here comes Ocon, who I believe was P19. He's on the back of Norris. It looks like Norris. Oh my god, Ocon's on his softs. Esteban Ocon's going to be absolutely flying at this stage of the race now. Here comes Alexander Albon on the back of Stroll. And that's finally Ricciardo gets past Giovinazzi after a long wait. And here he goes. I believe Ricciardo has DRS. And Giovinazzi doesn't, but Vettel gets past Giovinazzi. And Sebastian Vettel launches it down the inside of Daniel Ricciardo. What a move by Vettel. First on the outside of Giovinazzi, then back down the inside of Ricciardo. But Ricciardo's going to come back on that straight. It's Ferrari versus Renault. I don't know who is DRS. Neither of them, I think, have DRS. Vettel's there on the inside on the better tires than the later on the brakes there, and he's in front, and now he's P4. Giovinazzi's been dropping like a stone in this race, and now Kimi Raikkonen's teammates caught up to him. As all this battling and also the worst tires, Giovinazzi's been struggling, as now his teammate is caught up to him. And I can't believe this race. What a move by both Vettel and Bottas coming into turn 3, both of them are just on fire this race, making some incredible comebacks. Albon's been doing a decent job too, but not quite as good as the other two. And here comes Kimi Raikkonen down the inside of the turn 1 on Giovinazzi. Giovinazzi can't outbrake him. He's trying it back on the outside. And Kimi has the DRS and he's gone. He is gone. And here comes Albon! Out of absolutely nowhere, an underrated race. He overtakes Giovinazzi. Now Giovinazzi's been overtaken by absolutely everyone in this race. On the outside, Albon, no! Here comes Giovinazzi. I don't know who's DRS. I think Albon is DRS, but Giovinazzi has the Ferrari power unit. It's not enough. As Albon gets in front of Giovinazzi, Albon has actually been making his way through the field surprisingly well. We just can't keep up with 3 cars coming through the field, and Verstappen's just left Leclerc for dead. He's pulled a massive gap there. And unfortunately, the dream podium for either Ricciardo or Giovinazzi is gone, as Bottas has just pulled a massive gap, and now, I can't believe I'm saying this, but Albon's catching up. But it's the final lap of the race. Max Verstappen wins the race. Brilliantly from Bottas in P3, and of course Leclerc getting a P2. What a race.
It was a magnificent race and a drive right out of the top draw to take the win for Red Bull today. So Anthony, what made the difference out there today?
I really feel the track layout combined with the track temperatures we saw today suited their car. These cars come alive when the tyres are just at the right temperature, and the driver did a great job managing that as well. They just look so comfortable out there. It's like anything, it always looks so easy when it all just clicks.
Red Bull are our winners today after showcasing some incredible driving. There's been a huge push from them lately to stay competitive with the other teams, and they're certainly proving themselves. Let's have a look then at the drivers' standings. More points for Valtteri Bottas, further solidifying his lead at the top of the table. After an incredible day of racing, who was your driver of the day, Ant?
That's got to be the Flying Finn. Wait, how many Flying Fins have we had now? Anyway, I'm talking about Bottas this time. Just great raw speed, and a good job in traffic as well.
It's time to see how things are shaping up in the Constructors' Championship. It was a tough race for our championship leaders who lose ground at the top of the table. And with that, we wrap up another weekend of motorsport. But with more races lined up, be sure to join us when we come back with more Formula One.